Every time the teacher asked a question, I instinctively looked down, pretending to take notes. I knew the answer, but the mere thought of speaking in front of the class made my stomach burn. What if I was wrong? What if people laughed? The fear of embarrassment kept me silent. Yet deep down, I longed to be part of the conversation, to share my thoughts and be here. Over time, I found my voice, but it was not an easy journey. Avoiding participation felt safe, but it came with consequences. I vividly remember one day when the teacher posed a question and I immediately knew the answer. I hesitated, overthinking every possible reaction. My mind raced through different scenarios. What if my voice shook? What if my answer was incorrect? Before I could gather the courage to speak, another student confidently voiced the same response that had been on the tip of my tongue. The teacher praised them, and I felt invisible. That moment replayed in my mind for the rest of the day, making me regret my hesitation. Moments like this didn't just leave me frustrated, they affected my grades. Some classes require participation, and my reluctance to speak up meant lost points. More than that, I was holding myself back from growing academically and personally. Everything changed the day I had to give my first ever individual presentation. There was no option to stay silent. I had to speak. The pressure was overwhelming, and the thought of standing in front of the class made my heart race. I spent days practicing, going over my speech repeatedly in front of a mirror and even recording myself to hear how I sounded. I analyzed every pause, every hesitation, trying to perfect my delivery. When the moment arrived, my hands trembled and my voice wavered, but I pushed through. My mind screamed at me to run, but I stood firm. It wasn't perfect, but I survived. More importantly, I realized that speaking up wasn't as terrifying as I had imagined. That small victory planted the seed for growth and gave me a new perspective. Confidence didn't come overnight. The first time I raised my hand in class, my heart pounded so loudly I could barely hear my own words. I managed only a brief response, but to my surprise, no one laughed. The teacher nodded in approval, and my classmates moved on with the discussion as if it were no big deal. That moment gave me the courage to try again. I started preparing for discussions by jotting down my thoughts beforehand, organizing them into bullet points so I wouldn't feel lost. I even practiced responding to potential questions so that I wouldn't feel caught off guard. Little by little, I went from answering occasionally to actively engaging in conversations. I made it a goal to raise my hand at least once per class, even if it was just to ask a question. Each time the anxiety lessened and my confidence grew. The defining moment came during a class debate. For the first time, I participated without hesitation. Instead of obsessing over whether I was right, I focused on expressing my thoughts and listening to others. That's when I realized discussions weren't about proving intelligence, they were about learning and exchanging ideas. I had gone from avoiding eye contact to speaking with confidence. I noticed that my peers were more supportive than I had initially thought. No one was waiting to mock me. Instead, they engaged with my points and offered their perspectives. It was an exhilarating experience to be part of a lively discussion where my voice mattered. Looking back, I see how much I have changed. Speaking up in class has done more than improve my grades. It has shaped me into a more confident person. Whether in group projects, club meetings, or everyday conversations, I no longer shy away from sharing my voice. I have come to appreciate the value of contributing to discussions, understanding that my thoughts and opinions hold weight. For anyone struggling with this fear, I would say confidence isn't something you have. It's something you have to build it, one step at a time. Each small victory accumulates, leading to significant personal growth. The key is to take that first step, no matter how small, and trust in the process of improvement. Over time, what once felt impossible becomes second nature, and you will find yourself speaking up with ease and assurance.